ورسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول كل بدعة ضلالة.
We do not despair, because you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you ability. And you know that if you do things in a manner that is halal, your earnings, what you want to achieve, the children that you wish for, the pious children that you want to raise, those children will not attain piety without some effort. So imagine you don't put in the effort. You leave it to the state system, or you leave it to the schools of the kuffar, and you send them there for 8 hours a day. Then they come home, and at the most they spend an hour with you before they go up and do their homework, and they have their little, downtime, and then they're in bed. So in your average week from Monday to Friday, every single day, you'll probably catch them for an hour or 2 hours a day. 8 hours, they're in the company of unbelievers or teachers who teach them, and those teachers are unbelievers. So therefore, when that child now reaches the age of 15, 16, 17, and then you wonder what happened. You didn't take the means. You didn't take the means. Does that mean you didn't take the means, therefore it is a definite that that child will be misguided? No. It's possible that there is some goodness in the heart of that child. But the means that you took are most likely and most probably because, when you add 1 and 1, you get to 2. You don't get to 3.5. So if you do the computations that the Islamic tarbiyah that I'm giving them is negligible, and the majority of their time is in the company of those who are not going to give them tarbiyah Islamiyah, Islamic cultivation. So what is the end result likely to be? Good or bad? Bad. Because we have enough sound reasoning and aql to understand that this is the likely outcome. However, it is still possible by the decree of Allah and the tawfiq of Allah and the guidance of Allah that that child is still guided. Possible. But you did not take the means for his guidance. Let's take the other way now. That you raise your child upon kitab and sunnah and studying the deen and cultivating them, keeping them close to you, taking them to the durus, making sure that they're mixing, even in their, in their playtimes and in their leisure time, that they're mixing with good children, with good families. You take them to Umrah. You take them to places where they see the creation of Allah. You give them love and affection. You spend your wealth upon them. Whenever there's evil, you try to steer them away from it. You do not watch TV in your house, nor do you listen to music, nor do you watch movies. You don't do any of that. The garments that you dress them in, you make sure that they're Islamic. What's the end result likely to be? Good or bad? Good. Is it possible that they turn out bad? Yes. But the asbab that you've taken is more likely to bring about a good result. But the other example, the asbab that person has taken, is more likely to bring about an evil result, because evil cultivation leads to evil results, except for the one whom Allah guides aright. And good cultivation leads to good results, except for the one whom Allah has written for misguidance, because of a perversion in that child's heart. Look how many sometimes a father and mother will raise their children, do everything for them. Umrah and mashayikh and conferences and dawrat and love and affection. Give them a comfortable home. And by the time they're 18, all they want is the street. No matter how much they're saying, where did we go wrong? You didn't go wrong. You took the means. The sickness is where? In his heart. Because now he's in that position of a crossroads. Because now he's baligh. He's an adult. He's in the crossroad now. If I take a right, it's to the masjid. If I take a left, it's to the street and the street corner and the gang. So out of the two, he takes the left and misses the turn and refuses the turn to the masjid where he can benefit from the durus. Because there's a perversion in his heart. Because just as you have opportunities before you, and you are at crossroads, quite often with regard to your children and your families. So you try to make the right choice. A time will come when he'll have to make the choice, or she'll have to make the choice. Shall I wear the hijab or the jilbab and the khimar and so on, or not? She has a choice. Allah's given her the ability to accept that or to refuse that. What did the parents do? Cultivate her well. Importance of the hijab, modesty, humility. Inshallah, you'll marry a good man. He'll look after you. He'll provide for you. He'll care for you. He'll protect you. So she comes to that crossroads and pulls off the hijab. Parents aren't to blame for that, because now it's upon her, when she reaches the age of adolescence and adulthood, to decide whether she's going to take the correct path or he's going to take the correct. And if they don't, that's upon them. There's no blame upon the parents. But if you've already pushed them towards the left direction, in that example that I gave, you've already sent your son on the street at the age of 7, 8, and get out of here and go and play on the street with the rest of the kids. And you've already made him watch, he's on his 25th movie by the age of 7. He's listening to music in his AirPods. He's watching MTV or whatever else, music channels. You've already put him on that by the age of 10, 11 and 12. What's the outcome likely to be? You've already put him on the wrong path. For him to come back from that, he has to make some serious choices. But you've already put him on a path to misguidance. So every person has these, but you don't know what the end result is going to be. Upon you is to strive. Your reward isn't any less for striving, of course. You taking your children to Umrah, and then they, by the age of 19, abandon their parents, and they take to the streets and street life. And they behave in a manner that is jahil and ignorant, just like the kuffar. But you gave them all of that. Your reward is not diminished in any way whatsoever, because you strived. But they are sinful, and they are making themselves fuel for the hellfire. So therefore, take your children to the durus. Register them into the tahfidul Quran. Teach them at home. Teach them to love you and to respect you and to honor you, which means what? That you have to show them that respect, and you have to show them that love, and you have to discipline them when the time is right. Don't wait till they're 15 and they're taller than you. Don't wait till that time. Because that fear that the child has for his parents, a fear that is out of respect and dignity and honor, that fear is not blameworthy. That's like a person who hates to disappoint his father, hates to disappoint his mother, a wife who hates to disappoint her husband, a husband who hates to disappoint his wife by doing something that is demeaning and blameworthy. That type of, out of fear of hurting someone's feelings or hurting someone's honor, that type of fear is good. To instill that into your children is honorable and praiseworthy. Because then they'll grow up with that. So even when you're old and decrepit and you can't move from your chair or your couch because you're in your 90s, that child will now think to himself, I don't want to disappoint my father, even though he can't do anything. He can't harm you. But you don't want to disappoint him because of the love and respect and honor that he taught you and he gave you. And you want the reward, because ultimately that is what we seek from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.